I think all of them worked hard and did phenomenal jobs, but I think Hugh Jackman had the most work to do because he did the most physically demanding change.
Yes.
And he had to really pinpoint Wolverine's essence.
Yes. And for the longevity. Just when you think that after X-Men 1, 2, and 3, and then when he shows up in Days and Futures Past, he looked never the better, yo. This is late game for my dude, yo. And he was sliced like lunch meat, yo.
When he shows up,
like lunch meat,
when he shows up,
thin sliced salami, he got out the bed and was just cut up,
so
and he looked
ready.
But he looked like a comic character. My dude was cut up in the late game. So yes.
Who fit their role the best? Patrick Stewart in the first X-Men. Hugh Jackman hit every note.
Ryan Reynolds, he is Deadpool.
I cannot see somebody else filling Robert Downey Jr.'s shoes. Okay, here we go.
I wanted to ask you guys, who fit their role the best? Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, RDJ as Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, or Patrick Stewart as Professor X?
Jesus Christ.
It's a
I
hard
could have
one.
RDJ all day. Like
RDJ?
His portrayal of Iron Man and Tony Stark both were just so fluent.
But
I don't know. I remember when Patrick Stewart in the first X-Men, when he was cast as Professor X in that first X-Men, you're like, that is a perfect, everyone, the world said that is a perfect casting.
Yep. If you look at Jim Lee's art, it was a perfect portrayal too. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a match made in heaven. If you actually pay attention to like the comic art, it was
Patrick Stewart. I would honestly, I'm a huge Wolverine fan, and so I would say that Hugh Jackman hit every note for Wolverine.
I was about to say that's for me.
I really think he hit every. He got the anger going. You could see it in his face. He freaking bulked up for that.
And I thought that last Wolverine that he did was going to be, I'm like, they're just doing it for the money. It's going to be a money grab. The last one was phenomenal as well. Logan.
Logan.
So I can hear, I'll allow it.
When Hugh Jackman was cast and when Robert Downey Jr. were cast, a lot of people were not excited about those two castings.
What?
Right?
Who's a lot of people?
Really think back. Really think back, because Robert Downey Jr. was coming off of a lot of his personal turmoil.
RDJ right? I can see, but not Hugh.
Well, no, and again, a lot of people felt a type of way about Hugh Jackman because they were like, Wolverine is 5'7", Hugh Jackman is 6'2" or 6'1", whatever his height is. They were like, he's too tall, he can't pull that off. So there was a lot of controversy early on about those two castings.
But it was Wolverine is the short one, is the one who's supposed to be so short, whereas Hugh Jackman was so much taller. Mm-hmm. The thing that it makes it so much better is that even though he overcame that, and he still plays a phenomenal Wolverine.
I wonder if that's why Wolverine is so angry.
He has Napoleon complex.
Because when I was growing up and I used to watch X-Men, and I don't know how you felt, I used to have the little action figures when I go to the store, right? Mm-hmm. And Weapon X, okay? Everybody, I'm sure, loved Weapon X, right?
I have that one.
How did he get Weapon X? And then you learn about Stryker in the story. Now, when they did that segment, and which was later on, because I agree with what Jerz is saying, like when Hugh Jackman first got casted as Wolverine, and there were some people like, to play Wolverine, that is such a very powerful role. Everybody understands if they watched X-Men growing up from the cartoon back in the day, and then now you're seeing this live action, and here's Hugh Jackman. But when he played, and I got to see him personally as Weapon X, and you see the beginnings after he got the adamantium in it, and I was like, okay.
Well,
that's the respect. He earned my respect. That to me solidified. I pick him as the best out of this list. You know what I mean? I think that he just did the best job.
Well, here's my question though. We're talking about the best cast for the role, but does scripting play a part in that? Because if you script it wrong, then the actor doesn't really get the opportunity to play the role.
Excellent point, because Ryan Reynolds, how he freestyles through his
so much.
Role. Yeah. He just is Deadpool, and so that really does make a good. You're right.
But then again, on the same token, you got to say Hugh Jackman does that too. Ever since he first played Wolverine, everybody wants Hugh Jackman. There's the whole universe. I'm going to say it that way. The whole universe, when they said he's going to quit, was up in freaking arms. Oh my gosh!
What if Ryan Reynolds came on and said, "I'm done playing Deadpool"? Think of how detrimental that would be, and how big the internet would blow up.
Yeah.
The same. That's why all four of these are so hard for me.
Who's going to play Wolverine now? Like, who's going to fill Hugh Jackman's shoes?
Okay. So here's my point. This is where I would go with it. Of the 4 actors, if you were to try to replace them right now, who would have the hardest time? All right. So I'm using a process of elimination. We've already seen another Professor X, and I thought James McAvoy did a pretty good job, right?
Yeah.
So Professor X is probably a role that can easily, of the 4, be replaced. Another one, again, so now we have Ryan Reynolds left, we have Hugh Jackman left, and we have RDJ. I cannot see somebody else filling Robert Downey Jr.'s shoes to play Tony Stark right now. I cannot.
I feel the same way for Ryan Reynolds.
Well, and I was going to say, but Ryan Reynolds, okay, I think another person could do a Ryan Reynolds. If you literally just did the exact same thing Ryan Reynolds did, you can probably pull off Deadpool. If you got another fast-talking, comical, rom-com type of actor, you could probably have them play Deadpool. If you,
Downey Jr.
No, Justin Hartley. Who's Justin Hartley? If you watched the original Smallville, he was Green Lantern. And for other viewers out there, if you watched This Is Us, he was Kevin Pearson. He could do a Deadpool. Would it be as good as Ryan Reynolds? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But he can do it. I cannot see somebody filling Robert Downey Jr.'s shoes.
One thing that I was actually really excited for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness there was a rumor coming out that somebody else was going to star as Iron Man from a different universe. And I was actually quite excited for that. And I believe it was Tom Cruise that was supposed to...
Tom Cruise
yes.
That was supposed to play as Iron Man. And I saw that and I looked at it, I was like, this could actually work out pretty well. That's why I was just like, I could see somebody else playing as Iron Man. But between Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I can't see anyone else playing that. Like, there's been rumors saying that Daniel Radcliffe, they were saying that they were going to try to cast him as Wolverine. And I was just like, no, I can't see that. But then Hugh Jackman came back.
Did you guys see a clip out there or an image Photoshop where it was Scott Eastwood as Wolverine?
I can see it.
And he reenacted, you know what I'm talking about? And
yes.
He reenacted everything. And I thought
he did good.
He did pretty good.
Yeah.
So for me, if I had to pick my choice of who, I would have to rephrase it. Not of who had the best casting, but whose role would be the hardest to fill. If I was going to rephrase it, for me, Robert Downey Jr.
I would agree. Granted, we all said the Tom Cruise thing, but just let me echo on what you're saying about Eastwood Jr., right? If you look at how, again, referencing Jim Lee's art, art has this very sharp, chiseled look, and I always thought Clint Eastwood would either play. I know I'm jumping to a different guy, but either Magneto or Wolverine character. To hear that his son could potentially play Wolverine, I think that's a perfect fit based off of the artwork.
See, my thing is, it's like with Wolverine, I just with how long he's played Wolverine, And the fact that he's coming back, I can't see anyone else playing Wolverine other than Hugh Jackman.
You know what? I used to think the same thing when I thought of Jack Nicholson and Joker back in the day when I was young. Okay, and I granted, I was a kid, I was a child, but Jack Nicholson was such a great Joker that was when somebody said the Joker,
that's
I thought Jack Nicholson
straight with,
and nobody played the Joker until Heath Ledger. That is a long.
I'm about to say
time.
the only other.
It was a long time
Joker
before somebody did like a really good Joker. But so can you imagine for Heath Ledger picking up that role of the Joker, and he embodied that? So, is it possible?
Yeah, but also look at where it led him. God rest his soul, but it led him down such a dark path that he couldn't handle it.
Which is why I think people are afraid to touch that, and that's why again. And we were saying, Vernon was making a point about scripting, right? And I was like, hey, Jared Leto, he's the product of getting bad scripts. Now, with the 4 actors that we named, none of them had a bad script per se when it came to their casting. I think I'll give Marvel credit for allowing those actors to embody those characters the way that they saw fit. They let Ryan Reynolds do his thing. Patrick Stewart was able to do it the way he saw fit. Robert Downey Jr., Hugh Jackman.
I gotta say though, Patrick Stewart was such a great fit for Professor X.
All 4 of these guys did
all
great.
4 of these guys are like. That's why the question
when
is
you
so
really think about
hard.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you think about Professor X, okay, and you really start getting into where he came from, who he was, his role was perfect. I mean, Patrick Stewart being English the way he was already, that's where he came from. That's where Professor X came from.
Yeah.
He wasn't American. He was British. And then you've got Magneto, who was German.
He's Polish.
Was he Polish? Yeah, he was Polish. I thought he was East German. Yeah. I know he was from East Germany, but he was Jewish.
This is a actually moment that I don't want to get caught. I'm not sure. Somebody please leave a comment. Let us know.
You bring up an interesting point. Could it be that for Professor X, him playing the part, right? We're talking Patrick Stewart. I think that for the guy who played Charles Xavier in X-Men First Class, what's his name?
And James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah. So I think the relationship between him and Magneto, which is
Michael Fassbender.
Okay, thank you. That relationship, I think, enhanced Professor X.
Yeah,
in that movie. I think that relationship between those two, they really embodied something that the first X-Men didn't get to do. But I agree with Andy. I think Patrick Stewart was a better Professor X.
Can we just pause for a second talking about Professor X and give the respect he deserves for his acting in Logan? Because that was amazing.
So good.
He
Logan was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was not.
It also shows how OP he is. The Caesars and the whole freaking world is just stuck with him.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. My thing with that was like, I could not see that being made. I love Wolverine, but I could not see them making like the old Logan. And to see the two of them pull that off.
I just thought of something, and this is more of a X-Men question, a Wolverine question. Based on Logan, right? Mm-hmm. When Professor X would have his seizures, Wolverine was the only one who'd be able to stop him because of his healing ability, right?
Right.
Which means his brain can heal, essentially. Even so why is it that if his brain has a healing ability, how come he has amnesia with certain things?
The thought and theory behind Logan was the fact that Logan's been alive for 200 years. He's been alive since the Civil War. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, over time, your DNA starts to degrade. Doesn't matter who you are. Over time, your DNA starts to degrade. Logan's has started to degrade slower than most because he regenerates. But it's finally starting to catch up. And so now he's not able to heal all the parts of his brain the way he was, or his body. And this is why he died in the movie.
So
that's the reason why they were actually able to kill him was because his body, his DNA had broken down over so many years, and so his body just couldn't keep up.
And it took place in the future. I get that, but it just made me, that just made me think about it. Like, even in the 1990s X-Men comics, why did he have amnesia if his brain could heal at that rate? That's just something for the writers at Marvel to contemplate.
Because he actually had something stuck in there stopping it.
Right. Remember, the Weapon X program fucked this situation up where they had to kind of like memory erase in order to kind of control him, to reset him. Yeah. So there's a lot of that that's been going on, hence, I don't really remember that. When he started to remember certain things, certain people got the brunt of it.
Gotcha. Or when he got shot with that adamantium bullet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a lot of Wolverine talk. Does this mean everybody thinks Hugh Jackman was the best cast?
That's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's my pick.
I mean,
I'm a Wolverine fan, but I've been a big fan of his since I was just a little kid, and I'm not that little anymore.
I would say this. I would say Hugh Jackman had the most to overcome in his role.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would say that. Every of the other three could, for the most part, learn about their character through comics and television series and kind of just embody that. But Hugh Jackman had to overcome the most based on his physical stature and all of the aggression and really try to pinpoint that. So I'm not going to dare say
and the having to bulk up.
Three did not work as hard. I think all of them worked hard and did phenomenal jobs, but I think Hugh Jackman had the most work to do because he did the most physically demanding change.
Yes.
And he had to really pinpoint Wolverine's essence.
Yes. And for the longevity. Just when you think that after X-Men 1, 2, and 3, and then when he shows up in Days and Futures Past, he looked never the better, yo. This is late game for my dude, yo. And he was sliced like lunch meat, yo.
When he shows up,
like lunch meat,
like the thin sliced salami, he got out the bed and was just cut up. And
so
he looked
ready.
But he looked like a comic character. My dude was cut up in the late game. So yes, to your point, I guess I'm emphasizing that because he really did have to work that hard to continue to play the role, the longevity.
Well, let's do this too.
Sashimi.
This was Hugh Jackman's breakout role. This was his first big break. This is what got him all the stars. Wolverine propelled him through the universe. Because, he is one of the best actors out there right now. Look at all the things that he's done. He sings, he does everything.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time is Les Miserables. And I'm not even a musical person, but he did a great job. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Agreed.
So, my pick, like I said, is between Hugh Jackman and Robert Downey Jr. But based on, the breakdown, I'm picking Hugh Jackman because, like I said, he had the most to overcome. He really embodied the role. He took it extremely serious. And
agreed.
It was. I feel like it was a little bit more tangible because he transformed his body, his mind, in order to play that role. And when he appears in Deadpool 3, it will be 23 years that we've had Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yo, that's insane, yo.
And I don't know if anybody's seen this.
That's over half my life.
Yes,
yo.
That is only 2 years away from my life.
Robert Downey Jr. though, how long has he reprised his role as Iron Man? 11 years.
Yeah, 2008 was when the movie dropped.
Okay, but he's okay. So I'm not going to take away the roses that belong to Hugh Jackman. But we have to give an honorable mention and a very strong salute to Robert Downey Jr. Why? Because all his movies did better than the X-Men movie, with the exception of the Wolverine movies, which did their thing. Again, Old Man Logan. Logan, to me, was the best. Listen, if anybody says to me that the X-Men movies were tip-top, listen, go play in the street. Because you know it wasn't. You lying to you. X2 was still basic.
X2 was better than Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3.
I'm about to say
absolutely.
Iron Man 3. Come on now.
It all made sense. Iron Man 3 could have been a little bit softer. They could do something better. But
yeah, but it was used as a connect.
If you wanted to do Hugh Jackman standalone versus Robert Downey Jr. standalone, the 3 Wolverines versus the 3 Iron Mans,
all day Hugh Jackman.
That's hard. That's hard. It would be X-Men Origins. It would be X-Men Origins. The Wolverine. And it would be Wolverine. Logan. Yes.
Origins. Yes.
No, Origins. Origins is with Gambit. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
going
to say,
you know what? I'm going to say this is where you first see Deadpool. That's the first version.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm going to say this though. He had a really emotional part of it to play too. So like when he got into his role, drama, action, little bit of comedy here and there sprinkled in, like when he goes off on Cyclops, but he embodied every part of Wolverine. The anger, the animosity, especially when he's going up with Scott, him and Cyclops battling it out for Jean Grey. He embodied all of that.
Well, what do you guys think? Leave some comments below. Let us know who you think embodied their role the best.
Yeah, but I do got to say this. You gave a nod to RDJ, and I want to give a big nod to RDJ because you got to think about the things that he overcame. All the stuff he did as a kid and got stupid and got hooked on drugs.
Damn right.
And then came back. That is a career killer for anyone in Hollywood.
That's true.
Yeah, but perseverance isn't. I mean, that's just flavor.
What? I understand that, but look at his stature,
really,
man. Look at his stature.
That's just
come on, man.
I can give props to.
Yeah.
I can give props to all
I'm
four.
not disrespecting the RDJ. I'm just saying,